How's it going, guys? It's Travis Mortz again with another vintage camera review. Today I decided to talk about the iconic Canon AE-1. This camera is one of the most popular cameras in 35mm photography. With over 1 million of them sold in the 80s, they're really easy to find, and you can get them for a good price. And this camera is basically the reason that anybody is able to pick up a film camera and go shoot some 35mm without having to be worried about it. So I thought it was really important for me to talk about this camera. So today I'm going to go through some of the features of it and just really explain to you guys how simple it is. So the Canon AE-1. This camera was released in the early 80s, and this is actually one of the first cameras to ever have an electronically controlled shutter. So what that meant is they were able to make a lighter weight camera that was not mechanically controlled, and it was more accurate and more precise in the shutter speeds. Because of this, Canon was able to market to a more beginner crowd, and this is kind of something that Canon has always done. This would have been the Canon Rebel of the 80s. Canon had a very strong advertising campaign, and they pushed these cameras and pushed them and pushed them and pushed them, and they sold more than anything else. So because of that, nowadays the AE-1 is really prevalent, even in antique shops, thrift stores. These are really easy to find, and it's because they were so popular in the 80s that there's so many of them in the country now that exist. And that's solely because this camera is so easy to shoot. It is the absolute entry level SLR camera, but it does a great job because it takes Canon FD glass. So um, this is a full manual camera, but it also acts as an aperture priority camera. So what that means is you can set it into this A setting and set your shutter speed, and the camera will actually dictate the aperture for you. So here the aperture will be, let's see, f16 because I'm pointing at my light source. So if I go down to 500th of a second, f5.6, and the camera will actually stop down to the f-stop that it thinks is the right f-stop. Now, if you take it out of the A setting, um, it becomes a fully manual camera. But unlike most cameras that have an overexposure and underexposure, you know, graph, a plus and a minus, uh, this camera does not have that. This camera is a very simple system of you set your shutter speed, and the meter inside tells you what aperture to put it at. It points at 5.6. Now, if you turn the lens, the needle's not going to move. It's still going to point at 5.6. And basically, what this is a point of reference given to you by the camera. The camera's not forcing you to do anything. It's just saying, hey, at that shutter speed, put it at 5.6, or make your own decision. But because of that, the AE-1 is quite literally foolproof. You put whatever film speed you want in here, set it up, and the meter is going to tell you exactly what to put your camera at. It's not going to give you a plus and a minus reading. It's going to say 5.6 f8 rather than negative or plus and having the user try to figure that out. So once again, because of that, this camera was great for beginners and still is. This is an absolutely amazing camera to start with because you're guaranteed to get good results because the camera makes sure that it does that for you. Um, so now I want to get a little closer look at the camera and show you guys some of the features on it now that I gave you a little bit of background on it. So we'll get a closer look and we can see some of the stuff this camera does. So here we've got the Canon AE-1. It's really a quite simple camera. Here we have the battery door, which is where our battery is located, of course. It's very easy to put in and take out. And then here, this button is just a battery check. You press the button and it'll actually activate the meter on the inside. This button here also activates the meter. And then right here, we've got our depth of field preview button, which is actually going to stop our lens down to the desired aperture. And what that does is it gives us an idea of what's going to be in focus in our background or whatnot, given the shutter speed or rather the aperture that we are at. So to release that, you just press this little button here, and our lens is back to normal. And let's see what else we've got here. So the AE-1 has up to 1,000th of a second shutter speed, which makes it a great camera for just about anything. You could set up to 1,000, and it actually goes all the way down to 2 seconds before going to bulb. And it's got a wide range of ISO as well. What we do is we could lift up this silver ring here. See, it lifts. And I'm actually going to set it to 50. Let's see here. Other way. There we go. Let's see. Maybe I'm just not grabbing onto this thing the right way. Here we go. Now we have it set to 50. For those of you guys who follow me on Instagram, you might have seen this camera was actually part of a giveaway. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I'd like to cover it for the person I'm sending it to. So to remove this lens, you press this tab here. You line up those red dots, and the lens just comes right off. Nice and easy. Put the lens back on. And then another feature of this camera, which there isn't too much left now because the camera is so simple, is if you flip this out here, that is actually a self-timer. So we'll see how long it is. I think it's maybe 10 seconds. So as we're waiting for our shutter to go, let's see. Very nice. And this camera has everything you need and nothing more. That's pretty much it. To open it, you just like a normal 35mm, you pull it open. Nice, easy to load sprocket here. Some of these cameras have really awkward take-up sprockets that don't work very well. On the bottom of the camera, we have the easy to find push button to release the film. And right here, actually, if I were to unscrew this, this is for a motor drive. This camera also has a motor drive that could be attached to it. And I think that's about it with the Canon. There's not too much to be said about it. Also on the lens here, we'll go over this. On the lens here, we've got our focusing distance. In green is feet and white is meters. If you look closely, say we focus at, let's focus at 10 feet. So we're focused at 10 feet, and here we even have our depth of field guide here. So if we were to be shooting at f11, our focus would be from 7 feet to 15 feet. A lot of people don't realize that these numbers are all here for a reason, and they actually do help quite a bit when you're shooting at these smaller apertures to figure out what will be exactly in focus. Yeah, that's pretty much the AE-1. It's a very simple camera that, needless to say, gets the job done. And there's this as well as actually where the film plane lies. So if you're doing any close-up work, even just these little features, it's all you need. So I'm gonna switch back now, and so now that I've gone over the Canon AE-1 for you guys and really explained to you how simple this camera is to shoot, I really hope that it encouraged you guys to go out, and if you don't have a 35mm camera at all and you're looking to shoot film, this is the camera to look for. This is what you should be searching for. They're all over the place. You can find them on eBay, Craigslist, KEH.com has them. Yard sales, antique sales. These cameras are literally everywhere. So if you have any sort of urge to go shoot some film, I suggest looking into the Canon AE-1. You could find one within a day or two. And don't spend more than $75 on one. They're so plentiful that pass up an expensive camera. And yeah, basically go out, buy a roll of film in a Canon AE-1, and introduce yourself to the world of photography. And if you already like photography, introduce yourself to shooting film, because it's a whole new experience and it really isn't expensive. A lot of people say that shooting film is so expensive, but I mean, for the price of the cheapest Canon, 50 millimeter lens, you could have a full camera with, a box of film. So, uh, I hope that encourages you guys, and keep an eye out for these things because they're good cameras to have around. So, thank you guys, and keep on shooting.